What's up, guys? I know you see it. Look, the boy finally starting to get his studio coming together. I got the sign behind me. Hey, I'm growing up over here at DCTV. Guys, and today's episode is brought to you by Total Wireless, the official wireless provider of UFC. They're in your corner with unlimited 5G data that will not slow you down. So, when we talk about fights, right, we always look for the biggest fight, the baddest fight, the number one contender fight, the title fight. The ones that get us the most excited are the ones that matter the most. Last weekend, Arman Tsarukyan dispatched Dan Hooker. There's no better way to explain what Arman did on last weekend in Doha. He beat him from pillar to post, essentially, and really did reestablish himself as the number one contender. So, Arman Tsarukyan has long been one of, if not the best lightweights in the world. Even when Islam was going to fight him in Los Angeles, many felt like that was going to be easily the hardest fight that Islam could have had. Obviously, the fight didn't happen because Arman ended up pulling out the night before with a back injury. It felt like the UFC, at least to all the people close to Arman, were going to really put him on a back burner and almost punish him, right, for not fighting and almost changing an entire fight card the night before it happened. Then Arman goes and weighs in as a backup fighter when Ilia Topuria fought Charles Oliveira for the belt, right? That was one. You thought that might get him a little good grace. They know he can make weight because there's a lot of people that thought Arman didn't wrestle or didn't fight because he couldn't make the weight in Los Angeles. But then when he goes and he's the backup fighter, he makes the weight, easily steps on the scale. You start to think maybe he will get credit for that and he'll get a chance to fight for the belt. That didn't happen. You figured he could have waited and possibly gotten the title shot, but he right away schedules a fight against Dan Hooker, who was riding hot at the time. One thing that people like to do when somebody gets beaten the way that Hooker got beat last weekend is they speak about him and the things that he might have struggled with in the past. But what they forget is the state that the person was in at the time of the event. He had just beat Matej Gamrot, looked phenomenal in that fight, defended every takedown Gamrot tried to take him down, beat him up, and won a decision was very close. Remember, Arman went tooth and nail with Matej Gamrot. Now, I'm not trying to tell you that MMA math works. That's not the case. I'm telling you that Dan Hooker had showed an ability to defend takedowns. He just didn't know that he would have to show an ability above that ability to defend takedowns against Arman Tsarukyan. So Arman weighs in as the backup fighter. Arman shows up to Doha to fight Dan Hooker, a guy who's riding hot in a place where he really didn't have much to gain because he was already the number one contender. He was already the number one contender. We established that way back in January when he was supposed to fight Islam Makhachev. Remember, an Islam Makhachev fight who back in the day was much closer than many fights we have seen Islam involved in. Even now up at 170, we have not seen him struggle or have as tough a time with those guys as he had with Arman Tsarukyan. All that is background information before you start trying to poke a hole in the case that I'm trying to make now. Saturday, you go in as a minus 800 favorite against Dan Hooker. That in itself tells you what the world thinks of Arman, especially in this matchup. He goes out there. Not only does he win because he's supposed to win, he dominates Dan Hooker. It never felt like this fight was close. It never felt like this fight was competitive. It felt like you had a guy that was the number one contender fighting a guy who was very, very good, who was fighting very, very well, but did not truly belong fighting with that guy. We always say sometimes when you're younger and you're wrestling or you're in sport, sometimes you win to a place, that you're really not suited for. It looked like on Saturday, Dan Hooker had won so much above what he was supposed to win that he found himself in a place that he didn't really belong. The guy was just better. Arman beat him up. Finished him. What does he earn? Only a title fight, which he already had. Now, the problem with the whole scenario is when Ilia Topuria won the belt, Paddy Pimblett was in the arena with Justin Gaethje and so many others. Paddy goes into the octagon. Now, everybody gets this visual of Paddy and Ilia, when in reality, I don't know that Paddy, and he's great, has a resume that has earned him that title fight over Arman Tsarukyan, because now Arman has beaten Beneil Dariush, Charles Oliveira, and Dan Hooker. Paddy hasn't lost, but Paddy beat Michael Chandler. So the resume doesn't match. But again, the visual of them in the octagon feels like that was a number one contender. Arman wasn't there. So by winning Saturday, he earned what he already had back in January. But now the champion, the great Ilia Topuria, is saying, I want to fight Paddy Pimblett. He said, after Arman won, he goes, I'm still wanting to fight Paddy Pimblett. He doesn't seem to want to fight Arman Tsarukyan. And I don't know that he's given us much reason as to why he doesn't want to fight Arman Tsarukyan. The reality is, that's the fight. It is Arman. It is Arman versus Ilia. We really shouldn't be discussing anything past Arman versus Ilia. If we are, okay, Paddy Pimblett, that's fine. Right? It's big hype. If it's going to be the first Paramount card, I get people would tune in because Paddy does garner a lot of attention. But in terms of a matchup, in terms of a fight, it's Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan. And it's not even questionable. I know for a fact that they wanted to do Paddy versus Justin. A win over Justin after what he's done already, now I would have bought Paddy Pimblett fighting for the belt right now. Because I still believe that Paddy needs to continue to grow in the octagon a little bit. Because he's righted the ship and now he's fought so well that we go, man, the way he beat Chandler, we've never seen that before. But Ilia is a different beast. He's a savage. But so is Arman Tsarukyan. I believe that Arman versus Ilia is the fight, man. 100%. From the interactions they have, the way that you can tell that those guys don't like each other. Ilia said he slapped him the other day. Arman said he touched his face and now he's saying he slapped him. It's easy to build a fight between these two because when you build a fight between these two, you feel like it's going to be very competitive. You feel like there is a chance Arman Tsarukyan can win, but you also know that there's not a person in the world that Ilia Topuria can't beat. With these great champions, there is nothing better than going into a fight knowing that they are going to have their hands full and they're going to be challenged. It feels like that's a fight that would challenge the great Ilia Topuria. I mean, Arman lost in 2022 versus Gamrot, but he's a different person. He's won 5 in a row. He has earned an opportunity to fight for the belt. I think Ilia should grant that. I think Ilia should go, okay, that's the guy. Because he just fought Charles Oliveira, and Charles Oliveira had lost to Arman very recently. That's just the truth. So if you're willing to fight Charles, you should fight Arman. I think it's a great fight. You guys, I don't know why, though. Why is this fight not already happening outside of us seeing Paddy in there as the number one contender? Why? And for the people that might want to go, and tell me in the comments, people that might want to go, well, he's afraid of Arman. he still wants to fight Ilia. Or sorry, Ilia still wants to fight Islam. Ilia even said, I'll go to 170 and fight Paddy there so that I'm in the same weight class as Islam. It sounds like they're not wanting Ilia to go up again, but he's willing to go up and fight Islam. So it's hard to say that he's afraid of Arman Tsarukyan, but I still don't understand the answers. I don't know why we're getting this hesitancy from Topuria to fight Arman Tsarukyan. It needs to happen. You guys, let me know in the comments what you think. Who's the number one contender? Is it Arman or is it Paddy Pimblett? It's boiled down to those two. It seems like it's a two-man race. Who do you think should be in the octagon with the champion Ilia Topuria the next time he goes in there? All right? Till next time, guys, like, subscribe, and tell your friends I've got a YouTube channel, and I'm doing things like this. Until next time, peace.